She threw mud at the black woman on the street, but she never saw what was coming next. Jennifer Harrison White gripped the wheel of her imported luxury sedan, laughing at her own cruelty. She had just deliberately sped through a puddle on Greenwich's main street, drenching a woman walking on the sidewalk with muddy water. Through the rearview mirror, she watched the mud-covered figure standing in the middle of the street, dirty water dripping from her. It was exactly what she wanted to see. That arrogant black woman in her beige dress deserved a lesson in humility. "Driver, stop the car," Jennifer ordered, rolling down the window. "I want to get a better look at her face." The chauffeur hesitated for a moment but obeyed. Jennifer stepped out of the car, still smirking, walking back toward her victim. A few people on the street stopped to watch, whispering among themselves. "What a shame, huh?" Jennifer said mockingly as she approached. "Looks like you'll need new clothes." The mud-covered woman slowly lifted her face. Her brown eyes burned with restrained anger, but there was something else there, something Jennifer couldn't quite place. "You did that on purpose?" the woman said calmly but firmly. "Me?" Jennifer feigned innocence. "It was just an accident. You should be more careful walking on the street." "An accident," the woman repeated, wiping her face with her hands. "Like the accident that tore our family apart 40 years ago?" Jennifer's smile vanished. The stranger's words echoed in her mind like a distant memory. "Our family." "What are you talking about? I don't know you." The woman took a step forward, ignoring the mud still dripping from her dress. As she got closer, Jennifer could see her face clearly, the shape of her eyes, the arch of her brows, the slight tilt of her head when she spoke. "My name is Jasmine Williams Harrison," the woman said. "Williams was my mother's last name. Harrison was my father's. Our father." The world seemed to spin around Jennifer. She stared at Jasmine, searching for any sign of deception, any hint that this was some kind of scam. But all she found was a painful truth written in those familiar features. "Impossible," Jennifer whispered. "My father didn't have any other children." Jasmine smiled bitterly and raised her right hand, revealing a small scar between her thumb and index finger. "Remember this mark?" she asked. "I cut myself on the same rosebush as you when we were 5, in the yard of the Westport house." Jennifer instinctively looked at her own hand. The same scar was there, in the exact same place. A buried memory began to surface. A dark-skinned girl playing with her in the garden. A girl who had vanished one day and was never spoken of again. "Jasmine?" The name came out in an almost inaudible whisper. "That's right, sister. Jasmine. The daughter who was sent away because our mother couldn't accept that her husband had a relationship with a black woman." The crowd around them grew, sensing this was more than just a traffic mishap. Some pulled out their phones, starting to film the scene. Jennifer's legs felt weak. 40 years. 40 years since Jasmine had disappeared from her life. 40 years believing it had been a childhood dream, an imaginary friend her mind had conjured. Where have you been all this time?" Jennifer asked, her voice trembling. "Surviving," Jasmine replied simply. "First in an orphanage, then on the streets. Working since I was 12 just to eat. Studying at night when I could. Building a life with my own hands while you grew up with a silver spoon." Every word felt like a knife to Jennifer's chest. She vaguely remembered asking about Jasmine as a child, but her mother had always changed the subject. Over time, she had forgotten. "I didn't know," said Jennifer, tears beginning to stream down her face. "I swear I didn't know." "I know you didn't," replied Jasmine, her voice softening slightly. "You were just a child, just like me." A man in the crowd shouted, "Film everything, this story will go viral." Jennifer looked around, realizing for the first time how many people were watching. Her heart raced. If this spread, it would be the end of her reputation. Her luxury marketing company depended on the image of sophistication she had built over the years. "Jasmine, please," said Jennifer, stepping closer. "Let's talk in private, not here." 40 years waiting to have this conversation, said Jasmine. "I suppose I can wait a little longer." She began walking in the opposite direction, leaving muddy footprints on the sidewalk. Jennifer stood still, watching her sister walk away. The chauffeur got out of the car and approached her. "Miss Jennifer, perhaps it's best if we leave," he suggested discreetly. But Jennifer couldn't move. She was frozen, watching Jasmine disappear into the crowd. 40 years of guilt she hadn't even known she carried suddenly exploded in her chest. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. That night, Jennifer couldn't sleep. She sat on the porch of her penthouse in the Upper East Side, gazing at the ocean as she tried to process everything that had happened. In her hands, she held an old photo she'd found in a box in the attic. The photo showed two girls playing in the garden, one blonde with blue eyes, the other a black woman with dark skin, both smiling, embracing, unaware that this would be one of the last times they'd be together. Her husband, Richard, came home from the gym and found her in that state. "What happened to you today?" he asked, noticing the troubled expression on his wife's face. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Maybe I have," murmured Jennifer. Richard sat beside her, taking the photo from her hands. "Who's this girl with you?" "My sister." "What sister? What?" "You always said you were an only child." Jennifer told him everything. The mud accident, the unexpected encounter, Jasmine's revelations. Richard listened in silence, his expression gradually shifting from curiosity to concern. "Jennifer, are you sure this woman is really your sister?" he asked when she finished. "It could be some kind of scam. Someone who researched your family and is trying to take advantage. The scar, Richard. She has the same scar as me, in the exact same place. That could be a coincidence. And her facial features and the memories. She knew details only someone who lived in our house could know." Richard stood up, pacing back and forth on the porch. "Even if it's true, you need to think about the consequences. If this story gets out, it could hurt your business. Our business." Jennifer looked at her husband with disbelief. "Richard, we're talking about my sister. A sister who was taken from me when we were children. We're talking about a woman who appeared out of nowhere in your life after 40 years. A woman you publicly humiliated today. Do you think her intentions are good? I deserve to be humiliated. What I did today was terrible. You didn't know who she was. That doesn't excuse anything. Even if she were a complete stranger, what I did was cruel and unnecessary." Richard stopped pacing and turned to her. "Jennifer, be practical. You have a company to run, a reputation to protect. You can't let emotions cloud your judgment." For the first time in 15 years of marriage, Jennifer saw her husband in a different light. The coldness with which he spoke about the situation, as if Jasmine were just a problem to be solved, deeply unsettled her. "I'll look for her tomorrow," Jennifer said firmly. "Why?" "To apologize, to try to understand what happened, to meet the woman my sister has become." Richard sighed, realizing he wouldn't be able to dissuade her. "Then at least be discreet. We don't want this to turn into a bigger scandal." Jennifer didn't respond. At that moment, she didn't care about scandals or reputation. All she could think about was the look of pain in Jasmine's eyes when she had deliberately thrown mud at her. The next morning, Jennifer set out to find Jasmine. She didn't know where to start, but vaguely remembered seeing a bag with the laundromat logo the day before. She decided to begin there. The laundromat was in a modest neighborhood in Greenwich, very different from the places Jennifer usually frequented. She parked her car and entered, feeling the curious stares of other customers. "Excuse me," she said to the attendant. "I'm looking for a woman named Jasmine. Does she work here?" "Jasmine Williams?" the woman asked. "She doesn't work here, but she's a regular. Comes every Tuesday and Friday. Do you know where she lives?" The attendant hesitated. "May I ask who's looking for her?" "I'm a family friend. She lives in the housing project on Blossom Street, number 247, apartment 15B. Jennifer thanked her and left. The housing project was a stark contrast to the world she lived in. Simple buildings, modest cars, children playing in the street. She climbed the stairs to apartment 15B and knocked. Jasmine opened the door wearing a plain robe. Her eyes widened when she saw Jennifer. "What are you doing here?" "I want to talk, please." Jasmine hesitated for a moment, then opened the door fully. "Come in." The apartment was small but clean and tidy. Photos hung on the walls, books were stacked on a makeshift shelf, and the smell of coffee lingered in the air. Jennifer looked around, trying to absorb every detail of the life her sister had built. "Coffee?" Jasmine offered. "Please." They sat at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee in front of each. The silence stretched for a few minutes before Jennifer finally spoke. "I came to apologize for what I did yesterday and for all the years that passed without me knowing the truth." "You don't have to apologize for something you didn't know," Jasmine said. "You were just a child when I was sent away. But I should have asked. I should have insisted on knowing where you were. You tried. I remember. You asked about me many times in those first few months, but our mother always said I had gone back to my real family." "Our mother—" Jennifer paused. "She's still alive, Jasmine. She lives in a private nursing home in Malibu. I know, I've seen her from a distance a few times. You looked for her." "No, but I work as an elder care worker. Sometimes I pick up or drop off patients at that nursing home. I've seen her in the garden a few times." Jennifer felt a tightness in her chest. "Why didn't you approach her?" Jasmine smiled sadly. "What would I say? Remember me? I'm the daughter you sent away because my skin was too dark to be part of the family?" "Jasmine, no, Jennifer. I've learned to live without her, without any of you. I built my own family. You have children?" "I had a daughter, Brianna. She passed away 3 years ago, cancer." The silence that followed was heavy and painful. Jennifer felt tears welling up again. "I'm so sorry." "She left behind 2 children, my grandchildren. They live with me now." "Where are they?" "At school. Ethan is 8, Emma is 6. They're the light of my life." Jennifer absorbed this information. She had nieces and nephews she hadn't even known existed. "I'd like to meet them." Jasmine looked her directly in the eyes. "Why? Out of pity? Guilt? Because we're family." "Family?" Jasmine let out a bitter laugh. "Where was this family when I needed them? Where were they when I was sleeping on the streets at 15? Where were they when I worked 3 jobs to pay for college? Where were they when my daughter had cancer and I couldn't afford private treatment?" Each question hit Jennifer like a punch to the gut. She had never considered what Jasmine might have endured all these years. You went to college?" "Education. At night. It took me 8 years to finish because I had to work during the day. Then I specialized in special education." "You're a teacher." "I was. Now I work as an elder care worker. It pays better and gives me more flexibility to take care of my grandkids." Jennifer felt even smaller. While she had inherited the family company and lived a life of privilege, Jasmine had fought for every achievement. "Jasmine, I know I can't undo the past, but I'd like to try and build a future for us, for your grandchildren." "And what exactly are you suggesting?" "I don't know yet, but I want to be part of your life, their lives." Jasmine stood and walked to the window, looking out at the street. "You know, Jennifer, all these years I fantasized about this moment, about the day we'd meet again. In some fantasies, you'd hug me and ask for forgiveness. In others, you'd reject me like our mother did. And now I realize reality is more complicated than any fantasy." The door opened, and 2 children ran in, stopping abruptly when they saw a stranger in the room. "Grandma, who's she?" the little girl asked, hiding behind Jasmine. "This is Jennifer, a friend of Grandma's." The boy, Ethan, looked Jennifer up and down with childish curiosity. "Are you rich?" he asked bluntly. "Ethan," Jasmine scolded. "It's okay," Jennifer said, smiling for the first time since she'd arrived. "And yes, I have money." "Cool. Can you buy us a video game?" "Ethan," Jasmine repeated, firmer this time. "Don't worry," Jennifer said. "It's an honest question." She knelt to the children's level. "I'd love to buy you a video game and toys and books and anything else you'd like, but first I need to talk to your grandma about some important things." Emma finally stepped out from behind Jasmine and moved closer to Jennifer. "Do you have kids?" "No, I don't." "Why not?" "I never had the right opportunity." "You can be our pretend aunt, Emma suggested, with the innocence of a 6-year-old. Jennifer glanced at Jasmine, who avoided her gaze. Pretend? It's when you're not really family, but we like you anyway, Ethan explained. Jennifer's heart broke a little more. These children, her blood nieces and nephews, were offering her what she wanted most, without even knowing their real connection. It would be an honor to be your pretend aunt, she said, her voice thick. Jasmine intervened. Kids, go do your homework. Jennifer and I need to talk. The children left, grumbling, and Jasmine turned back to Jennifer. You can't just walk into their lives like this, Jennifer. You can't create expectations you might not be able to meet. I won't disappear from their lives or yours. How can I be sure? You're wealthy, married, living a completely different life from ours. What happens when the novelty wears off? When you get tired of playing poor family? This isn't a game to me, Jasmine. Then prove it. How? Before Jasmine could answer, Jennifer's phone rang. It was Richard. Answer it, Jasmine said. It must be important. Jennifer reluctantly picked up. Jennifer, where are you? Richard's voice was tense. I need you to come home right now. We have a problem. What kind of problem? The Mud story leaked. It's all over social media. There's a video that's already been shared thousands of times. Jennifer's stomach sank. What do you mean it leaked? Someone filmed it yesterday and posted it with a caption about racism and public humiliation. Our company's name is being dragged into it. We've already gotten 3 calls from clients canceling contracts. Jennifer looked at Jasmine, who was clearly listening to the conversation. Richard, Come home, now. We need damage control. He hung up. Jennifer put her phone away, her hands shaking. Looks like the consequences are catching up, Jasmine said, no malice in her voice. I deserve this. Yes, you do. But now tell me, are you going to run to protect your reputation or stay and face what you've done? Jennifer stared at Jasmine for a long moment. Then she stood and walked to the door. I need to go handle this, but I'll be back tomorrow. We'll see. Jasmine, I really will come back. Like I said, we'll see. Jennifer left the apartment with a heavy heart. On the drive home, her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Calls from clients, reporters, curious friends. She turned it off and drove in silence. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now, back to the story. When she got home, Richard was waiting in the living room with a grim expression. On the coffee table were several newspapers and a tablet displaying social media. Sit, he said. You need to see this. The video had been recorded by a teenager passing by the street. It clearly showed Jennifer throwing mud at Jasmine on purpose, laughing, then stepping out of the car to humiliate her further. The caption read, "Wealthy businesswoman humiliates black woman on Greenwich's main street. How long will we tolerate this?" 15,000 shares in 12 hours, Richard said, and climbing. Jennifer scrolled through the comments. Words like disgusting, racist, despicable, repeated over and over. People called for boycotts of her company. Others demanded she be sued. What do we do? She asked. First, you issue a public apology. We'll say it was a misunderstanding, that you didn't see the woman, and it was truly an accident. I won't lie. What do you mean you won't lie? Jennifer, we're talking about our lives here, our company. Richard, that woman is my sister. Stop with that story. Even if it's true, it doesn't change the fact you were filmed publicly humiliating someone. Because I did humiliate her, and I'll own up to it. Richard stood abruptly. Have you lost your mind? If you admit to this, you'll destroy everything we've built. Maybe it's time to tear it down. Maybe I built my life on rotten foundations. Jennifer, listen to yourself. You're letting emotions cloud your judgment. Or maybe I'm seeing clearly for the first time in years. The house phone rang. Richard answered. Hello? His expression shifted. One moment. He covered the receiver and turned to Jennifer. It's a reporter from a television show. They want an interview with you. Give me the phone. Jennifer, give me the phone, Richard. She took it. This is Jennifer Harrison White. Ms. Harrison White, this is Michael Johnson from Truth Spotlight. We'd like an interview with you about yesterday's incident. When? Tomorrow, if possible. Live. Jennifer glanced at Richard, who was shaking his head. All right, I'll be there. She hung up. Richard exploded. You've completely lost it. You can't give an interview now. I won't hide, Richard. I won't pretend it was an accident. So you'll ruin our lives over a stranger. Because of my sister, and because it's the right thing to do. Richard paced the room like a caged animal. Fine. If you want to destroy everything, go ahead. But don't count on me to support this madness. What does that mean? It means if you give that interview admitting guilt, I'll file for divorce. The words hung in the air like a threat. Jennifer looked at the man she had shared 15 years of her life with and realized she had never truly known him. Then file, she said calmly. Jennifer, file for divorce, Richard. Because I'm giving that interview, I'll admit what I did, and I'll tell the whole truth. Richard stared at her for a long moment, then stormed out, slamming the door. Jennifer stood alone in the lavish room, surrounded by newspapers talking about her. For the first time in years, she felt truly free. The next morning, she woke early and went back to Jasmine's apartment. This time, she brought sweet bread and milk for the children. You really came back, Jasmine said as she opened the door. I said I would. They sat again at the kitchen table while Ethan and Emma ate breakfast, delighted by the treats Jennifer had brought. I saw the news, Jasmine said, and the videos. Richard wants me to lie, to say it was an accident. And you're going to do that? No, I'm giving an interview this afternoon, Vingan. I'll tell the truth about what I did, and about who you are. Jasmine paused with her cup halfway to her lips. You're going to talk about our family connection? If you'll let me. Why? Because I'm tired of living a lie. Tired of pretending I'm a better person than I really am. And because you deserve to be recognized as my sister. Jasmine stayed silent for a long time, watching the children play. If you do this, there's no going back, Jennifer. Your life will change completely. I know Richard already threatened to divorce me. And you're willing to lose everything? I'm willing to lose everything built on lies to gain something real. What if I don't want this? What if I don't want our story exposed publicly? Jennifer hadn't considered that possibility. Then I'll respect your decision. I'll tell the truth about what I did, but I won't mention our family ties. Let me think about it. Of course. Ethan approached the table. Aunt Jennifer, are you really going to buy that video game? Ethan, Jasmine scolded. If your grandma allows it, I'll buy not just the game, but a new TV for you to play on. The boy's eyes lit up with joy. Grandma, can we? Please? Jasmine looked at Jennifer with an unreadable expression. Ethan, go brush your teeth for school. But Grandma, now. The boy trudged off, grumbling, followed by Emma. Jasmine waited until they were out of earshot. Don't make promises you can't keep, Jennifer. I'm not making empty promises. How can I be sure? Because I'll be here every day if you'll let me. I'll get to know these kids. I'll help them grow. I'll make up for all the years I lost with you. You think it's that simple? No, I know it's not simple. I know it'll be hard. I know you have every right to hate me and not want me around. But I'm asking for a chance. Just one chance to prove I've changed. Jasmine stood and walked to the window again. When I was little, before I was sent away, I used to dream that you'd come looking for me when you grew up, that you'd remember me and come get me. Jasmine, eventually I stopped dreaming about it. I stopped waiting. I built a life without you, without our mother, without the Harrison White family. And now? Now I'm scared. Of what? Of dreaming again. Of letting myself believe that maybe, after 40 years, I could have a sister back. Jennifer stood and went to Jasmine. You've always had a sister. Only a very foolish sister who took 40 years to find her. Jasmine turned around, and for the first time since they had reunited, she smiled. Fine. You can tell our story in the interview, but on one condition. What? I'll be there with you. You want to do the interview with me? If we're going to do this, we'll do it together. As sisters. Jennifer felt tears streaming down her face. Without thinking, she hugged Jasmine. After a moment of hesitation, Jasmine returned the embrace. "Thank you," Jennifer whispered. "Don't thank me yet. You might regret it when you see how this affects your life." "I won't regret it." That afternoon, Jennifer and Jasmine arrived together at the television studio. The show Truth Spotlight was known for its controversial interviews and for sparing no one. Michael Johnson, the host, greeted them with barely concealed curiosity. "Miss Jennifer, we didn't expect you to bring the victim of the incident to the interview." "Jasmine isn't a victim," Jennifer said. "She's my sister." The host looked confused. "Your sister, but it's a long story, and that's exactly what we're here to tell." They sat down in the studio. Jennifer could see Richard in the audience, his face a mix of disbelief and anger. Beside him, his lawyer was scribbling notes frantically. "We're live in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, viewers. Today we have with us Jennifer Harrison White, the businesswoman who was filmed humiliating a black woman on the streets of Greenwich. And in a surprising twist, the victim herself is here with us, Jasmine Williams. Let's start with the obvious. Ms. Jennifer, why did you do what you did? Jennifer took a deep breath. Because I'm someone who grew up with privilege and never questioned my behavior. Because I thought it was fun to humiliate someone I considered beneath me. Because I am, or was, a cruel and prejudiced person. And now we've learned that Ms. Jasmine is your sister. Jasmine is my half-sister. Same father, different mothers. She was taken from our family when we were 5 because my mother couldn't accept that my father had been in a relationship with a black woman. A murmur of surprise rippled through the studio. Ms. Jasmine, how did you feel when you recognized your sister? Jasmine spoke for the first time. I felt like I could finally tell her what I'd held inside for 40 years, that our separation was unjust, that she had a life of privilege while I fought for every opportunity. But I also felt hope that maybe, after all this time, I could have a family again. And now, how do you feel about each other? Jennifer looked at Jasmine before answering. I'm grateful for the chance to know the extraordinary woman my sister has become, and deeply ashamed it took me 40 years to find her. Ms. Jasmine, I feel like forgiveness might be possible, not for the system that separated us, but for the people who were victims of that system as much as I was. The host leaned forward. But Ms. Jennifer, your actions yesterday weren't those of someone who considers themselves a victim of the system. You're right. Yesterday I was the embodiment of everything wrong with that system. I was cruel, prejudiced, and cowardly. I attacked someone who couldn't defend herself just because I could. And what do you plan to do to make amends? Jennifer looked into the camera. First, I want to publicly apologize not only to Jasmine, but to everyone I've ever humiliated or disrespected because I thought I was superior. Second, I'll use every resource I have to try to repair, even minimally, the damage I've caused. What kind of reparation? I'm announcing here that I'll donate half my assets to an educational fund to help young black students access higher education, and I'll actively work to combat prejudice and discrimination. Richard rose from the audience and left the studio. Jennifer watched him go without any sense of loss. And what about your marriage? We just saw your husband walk out. My marriage ended the moment he asked me to lie about what I did. Some things are more important than keeping up appearances. Mrs. Jasmine, what do you think of your sister's proposals? I think words are easy. Actions show a person's true character. But I'm willing to give her the chance to prove she's changed. And how will your relationship move forward from here? Jasmine looked at Jennifer. We'll figure it out together, day by day. After the interview, they stepped out of the studio to find a small crowd of reporters waiting. Questions were shouted from all sides, camera flashes went off, and microphones were thrust toward them. Jennifer, how do you feel about the public's reaction? Jasmine, will you sue your sister? Do you plan to write a book about the story? Jennifer raised her hand, asking for silence. We won't be making any more statements today. What we had to say, we said in the interview. Now, we'd like privacy to rebuild our relationship as sisters. They managed to slip out the back door and into Jennifer's car. How do you feel? Jennifer asked as she drove. Strange. 40 years keeping this story hidden, and now it's being discussed by millions. Do you regret it? No. I prefer the truth even if it's painful, and I'd rather be rejected for who I really am than accepted for a lie. They arrived at Jasmine's apartment to find Ethan and Emma watching the interview on a neighbor's phone. "Grandma," Emma shouted when she saw them. "You were on TV. And Aunt Jennifer too," Ethan added. "Is it true you're really sisters?" Jasmine looked at Jennifer, who nodded. "Yes, it's true." "So she's our real aunt, not a fake one?" Emma asked. "She's our real aunt," Jasmine confirmed. Ethan jumped with joy. "Does that mean she can buy the video game?" Jennifer laughed, the first genuine laugh she'd had in years. "It means she'll not only buy the video game, but also be here to play with you whenever you want." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. In the weeks that followed, Jennifer's life changed drastically. As promised, Richard filed for divorce. Many of her friends abandoned her. Her company lost several important clients. But paradoxically, she had never felt happier. Every day after work, she went to Jasmine's apartment. She helped Ethan and Emma with their homework, took them to the park and told them bedtime stories. Slowly, she was building a real relationship with the family she had lost. Jasmine, in turn, wrestled with her own demons. 40 years of resentment didn't disappear overnight. Sometimes she caught herself watching Jennifer with suspicion, waiting for her to give up and return to her privileged life. "You don't have to come here every day," Jasmine said one night as they cleaned up the kitchen after dinner. "I know I don't have to, I want to." "Why?" "Because you're my family, the only real family I have." "What about your mother?" "Our mother?" Jennifer stopped washing the dishes. "I think about her every day. About what I'll say when I see her." "Are you going to look for her?" "Yes, but first I want to make sure you and I are okay. I don't want her causing more pain between us." "Jennifer, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you remember me, really? Or only after I told you?" Jennifer turned to her. "I remember some things. The scar on the rose bush, playing in the garden, you teaching me how to tie my shoes. But I confess that for a long time, I thought they were dreams or made-up memories. And now I know they were real. And I wish I had more memories of us." "I wish that too." Ethan walked into the kitchen in his pajamas. "Aunt Jennifer, are you going to read us a story tonight?" "If your grandmother allows it." "She can," said Jasmine, "but pick a good one. They're tough critics." Jennifer smiled and followed Ethan to the bedroom. Emma was already in bed, waiting. She sat between the two of them and opened a book of tales. "Once upon a time," she began. "Wait," Ethan interrupted. "Can you tell a real story from your life?" "What kind of story?" "From when you were little, with Grandma." Jennifer looked at Jasmine, who had appeared in the bedroom doorway. "Well, when your grandmother and I were little, we had a huge garden at our house. One day we decided to plant an apple tree. She told them how they had stolen apples from the neighbor's tree to plant the seeds in their garden, how they'd been caught by the gardener, who threatened to tell their parents, how they'd bargained for their freedom by offering to help care for the other plants." "And did the apple tree grow?" Emma asked. "It did, and it bore the sweetest apples I've ever tasted." "Is it still there?" Ethan wanted to know. "I don't know, it's been a long time since I've been to that house." "Can we go see?" Emma asked. Jennifer looked at Jasmine again. "Maybe, if your grandmother wants to." After the children fell asleep, they sat in the living room. "Thank you," said Jasmine. "For what?" "For creating happy memories for them, and for helping me remember that not everything from our past was sad. Do you want to go to the house in Westport, see if the apple tree is still there?" Jasmine hesitated. "I'm afraid of how I'll feel going back there." "You don't have to decide now, but know that if you want to go, I'll go with you." "What if our mother is there? Then we'll face it together." 2 weeks later, Jasmine decided she was ready. They left the children with the neighbor and went together to Westport. The house was exactly as Jennifer remembered. Big, imposing, surrounded by a well-kept garden, but it seemed smaller than in her childhood memories. "Here it is," Jennifer said, parking in front of the gate. Jasmine looked at the house for a long time. "It's smaller than I imagined. Do you remember?" "Now that I'm seeing it, yes, the green gate, the porch with the white columns, the blue windows." They got out of the car and walked to the gate. A sign read, "For sale." "It's for sale," Jennifer observed. "Our mother doesn't live here anymore." "Apparently not." A middle-aged man appeared at the front door. "Can I help you?" "We're interested in the house," Jennifer said. "Could we take a look?" "Of course, I'm the listing agent. My name is David." He opened the gate and they stepped inside. The garden was well maintained, but different. Many of the plants they remembered were no longer there. "Did the previous family live here for many years?" Jasmine asked. "Yes, over 40 years. An elderly woman and her family. She moved to a nursing home a few months ago." Jennifer and Jasmine exchanged glances. "Did you know the family?" David asked. "We did," Jennifer said simply. They entered the house. Everything seemed smaller and simpler than in their memories. The furniture was different, but the structure was the same. "What about the backyard garden?" Jasmine asked. "Of course, this way." They walked out through the kitchen door. The backyard garden had also changed a lot, but in the far right corner near the wall stood a lush tree heavy with fruit. "The apple tree," Jennifer whispered. Jasmine approached the tree, carefully touching the trunk. It grew so much. "Did you plant this tree?" David asked, curious. "When we were children," Jasmine answered, her eyes filled with tears. "What an incredible coincidence that you both want to buy the house where you grew up." "Could we have a few minutes alone?" Jennifer asked. "Of course. I'll be in the living room when you're ready to discuss the purchase." He walked away, leaving them alone in the garden. Jasmine sat under the apple tree, leaning her back against the trunk. "I remember when we planted the seeds. You said that when it grew we'd climb the tree and eat apples together." Jennifer sat beside her, and now here we are. 40 years later, better late than never. Jasmine smiled and held out her hand. Jennifer took it. "Jennifer, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you really want to buy this house?" "I hadn't thought about it." "Why?" "Because I think it would be a beautiful way to come full circle. To bring the children to play in the same garden where we played." You'd like that?" "I'd love it." "Then let's buy the house." "Jennifer, a house like this must cost a fortune." "I have a fortune, and what better use for it than to bring our family back home?" They sat under the apple tree for nearly an hour, talking about the past and making plans for the future. When they finally stood up, Jennifer spoke to David about the purchase. "We'd like to make an offer on the house." "Excellent. What would the amount be?" "The asking price in cash." David nearly choked. "In cash, are you sure?" "Absolutely, but with one condition. I want the sale finalized as quickly as possible. I can try to speed up the process. Maybe we can manage it in 2 weeks." "Perfect." On the way back, Jasmine was quiet. "Having second thoughts?" Jennifer asked. "No, I'm just trying to process everything. 3 months ago, I thought my sister had completely forgotten about me. Now we're buying our childhood home together. Life can change very quickly." "It really can. Jennifer, can I ask you for one more thing?" "Anything." "When we move in, I'd like to invite our mother to come see us." Jennifer felt a tightness in her chest. "Are you sure?" "No, but I think we need to face this, the 3 of us together." "What if she rejects us again?" "Then at least we'll know we tried, and we'll have each other to get through the pain." "All right. Once we're settled in the new house, we'll look for our mother." 2 weeks later, the purchase was finalized. Jennifer had sold her penthouse in the Upper East Side and invested all the money into the Westport house and renovations to make it suitable for the family. Jasmine and the children moved into the new house on a sunny September morning. Ethan and Emma ran through the garden, discovering every corner, every tree, every flower bed. "Grandma, look how big the apple tree is," Emma shouted, reaching for a fruit. "Careful, Emma. We don't want you getting hurt like your aunt and I did when we were little." "You got hurt?" Ethan asked. "Right here," Jennifer showed the scar on her hand, "trying to pick roses. And does Grandma have the same scar?" I sure do. Jasmine showed her hand. Cool. Sisters with matching scars, Emma exclaimed. That night, after the children went to bed, Jennifer and Jasmine sat on the front porch, each with a cup of tea. How does it feel to be back? Jennifer asked. Different than I expected. Not as painful as I feared. It's like the house is happy to have us back. Houses don't have feelings. This one does, I'm sure of it. They sat in silence for a while, watching the movement on the street. Jennifer, I think I'm ready to look for our mother. Are you sure? I am. How about tomorrow? Tomorrow. Together. The next morning, after dropping the children off at school, they went to the private nursing home where their mother lived. It was a luxurious place, with well-kept gardens and a beautiful view of Malibu Beach. We came to see Mrs. Elizabeth Harrison White, said Jennifer at the reception desk. Are you family? We're her daughters. The receptionist checked a list. Mrs. Elizabeth hasn't had visitors in several months. She isn't doing well psychologically. What does that mean? Asked Jasmine. She developed severe depression after watching an interview on television. Since then, she stays in her room talking about lost daughters and past mistakes. Jennifer and Jasmine exchanged glances. That interview was ours, Jennifer said. May I ask your names? Jennifer and Jasmine Harrison White. The receptionist's eyes widened. You're the daughter she talks about all the time. Wait here, I'll call her psychologist. A few minutes later, a middle-aged woman approached. I'm Dr. Patricia, your mother's psychologist. She's been waiting for you for months. Waiting how? Jasmine asked. Ever since she saw the interview, she hasn't stopped talking about you. She says she needs to ask for forgiveness before she passes, that she made the biggest mistake of her life. She wants to see us? Jennifer asked, surprised. It's all she wants in the world, but I must warn you, she's very fragile. The guilt over separating you has eaten her up inside. Can we see her? Jasmine asked. Of course, come with me. They went up to the third-floor room. Patricia knocked gently. Mrs. Elizabeth, there's a surprise for you. I don't want surprises, I just want my daughters back. Look who came to see you. She opened the door. Elizabeth Harrison White sat in an armchair by the window, gazing at the ocean. At 82, she looked far older and frailer than Jennifer remembered. When she turned and saw her two daughters standing at the door, her expression changed completely. Jennifer? Jasmine? Her voice was an incredulous whisper. Hello, Mother, Jennifer said. Hi, Jasmine said more hesitantly. Elizabeth tried to rise from the chair, but her legs wouldn't support her. She reached out her arms, tears streaming down her wrinkled face. My daughter, my Jasmine, you came back. Jasmine hesitated a moment, then stepped forward and knelt beside the chair. Elizabeth hugged her as if she never wanted to let go. Forgive me, she whispered between sobs. Forgive me, my child. Forgive me for doing the worst thing a mother could do. Jennifer moved closer too, kneeling on the other side of the chair. Mom, Jennifer, my dear, forgive me for lying to you, for making you grow up without your sister, for destroying our family because of my prejudice and cowardice. Mom, that was so long ago, Jennifer said. There isn't enough time to justify what I did, Elizabeth said, looking at Jasmine. Can you forgive me? I know I don't deserve it, but... Jasmine was crying too. I held on to anger toward you for 40 years. I don't know if I can forgive you just like that in an instant. I understand, and I accept that. I just wanted you to know. Not a single day passed in all these years when I didn't think of you, when I didn't regret it. Why didn't you look for me? Jasmine asked. Why didn't you try to find me? Because I'm a coward. Because I was afraid you'd hate me. Because I thought you were better off without me. I wasn't better off, Mum. I went hungry, slept on the streets, worked since I was a child, raised my daughter alone, watched her leave the same way you made me leave. Elizabeth flinched as if struck. I have a granddaughter? Had. Brianna left 3 years ago. Left? Cancer. The silence that followed was devastating. Elizabeth buried her face in her hands. My God, what have I done? I lost a daughter, a granddaughter, destroyed everything because of my stupid prejudice. You have great-grandchildren, Jasmine said softly. Ethan and Emma. They live with us now. Elizabeth raised her face. Great-grandchildren? 8 and 6 years old. Can I meet them? Jasmine looked at Jennifer, who nodded. If you'd like, you can come have dinner with us tonight. We're living in the Westport house. The Westport house? You bought the house back? Jennifer bought it. For our family. Elizabeth looked at Jennifer with a mix of pride and sadness. You brought Jasmine back home. I brought our family back home. Can I go with you now? Dr. Patricia intervened. Mrs. Harrison White needs medical supervision, but I can authorize a few hours out if you bring her back before 10 tonight. We will, promised Jennifer. An hour later, they were in the car on the way to the Westport house. Elizabeth sat in the back seat, watching the city pass by the window. It's changed so much, she remarked. Many things have changed, said Jasmine. Do you think the children will like me? Mom, they'll love meeting their great-grandmother, Jennifer assured her. When they arrived at the house, Ethan and Emma were playing in the garden. They stopped when they saw the car and ran to the gate. Aunt Jennifer, Grandma, Emma shouted. Who is she? Asked Ethan, looking at Elizabeth. Jasmine knelt to the children's height. This is Grandma's grandma, your great-grandmother. Great-grandma? Emma widened her eyes. I didn't know I had a great-grandma. And I didn't know I had great-grandchildren, said Elizabeth, kneeling down with difficulty. Ethan approached her curiously. You're really old. Ethan, scolded Jasmine. It's all right, Elizabeth laughed. I am really old. But you know what? Being old gave me time to learn some interesting things. What kind of things? Asked Emma. How to make the best chocolate fudge truffles in the world. How to tell stories that make you fall asleep with a smile. How to give the best great-grandma hugs. The children grinned. Can you make truffles for us? Ethan asked. If your grandma says yes, I can make truffles, cake, pie, whatever you want. She can, said Jasmine. But first, let's go inside and see the new house. They went in together. Elizabeth looked around with tears in her eyes. It's exactly as I remember. We changed a few things, said Jennifer. We renovated the kitchen, put in new furniture. But the heart of it is the same. The house is happy to have you back. That's exactly what I said, exclaimed Jasmine. Houses have feelings. This one does. It always has. They spent the rest of the afternoon together. Elizabeth helped the children with their homework, told stories about when Jennifer and Jasmine were little, and taught Ethan how to tie his shoes the way she had taught her daughters decades ago. At dinner, they all sat around the kitchen table. It was the first time in 40 years that the Harrison White family was whole. May I say a prayer? Elizabeth asked. Everyone agreed. Thank you for giving me a second chance, for letting me meet my great-grandchildren, for allowing me to see that love can overcome even the worst mistakes. Amen. Amen, they all said together. After dinner, while the children watched television, the three women sat on the porch. Mum, said Jasmine, I need you to understand something. I can't pretend the last 40 years didn't happen. I can't just forget all the pain I went through. I understand completely. But I'm willing to try to build a new relationship for my grandchildren and for myself. It's more than I deserve. It's not about deserving. It's about choosing love over resentment. Jennifer took both their hands. We're a strange, complicated family, but we're a family. The best family I could ask for, said Elizabeth. Even if we're a family that found each other again through an act of cruelty, asked Jasmine. Especially because of that. Because we proved that love can blossom even from pain. At 10 o'clock, they took Elizabeth back to the nursing home. She said goodbye to the children with promises to return the next day to teach them how to make chocolate fudge truffles. Will you come pick me up every day? She asked. Every day you want to come, Jennifer promised. What if I could spend a few days a week with you? Doctor, Patricia said if I improve, I can have more freedom. Mum, you have a room waiting for you in our home, said Jasmine. Our home? Our home, belonging to all of us. Elizabeth cried again, but this time from happiness. In the months that followed, the family settled into a new routine. Elizabeth spent 3 days a week at the house in Westport. Jennifer had sold her company and now devoted herself entirely to the educational fund she had promised on television. Jasmine returned to teaching, now at a private school Jennifer had helped finance. Ethan and Emma flourished in the loving, stable environment. They had not just a present grandmother, but also a devoted aunt and a great-grandmother who spoiled them with old recipes and fascinating stories. A year after their reunion, they were once again beneath the apple tree, this time with the children, picking fruit for a jam Elizabeth wanted to teach Jasmine how to make. "Grandma, were you and Aunt Jennifer friends when you were little?" Emma asked. "We were sisters," said Jasmine. "The best friends two sisters could be." "Then why did you stop playing together?" Jasmine looked at Jennifer, then at Elizabeth. "Because sometimes people make mistakes, big ones that tear families apart. But the most important thing is, we learned it's never too late to fix those mistakes." "And did you fix them?" "We're fixing them," Jennifer said. "Every day." Ethan swung from a low branch of the apple tree. "When I grow up, I'm going to plant a tree for my kids too." "What kind of tree?" Elizabeth asked. "A hugging tree, so my family never splits apart." Elizabeth smiled and hugged her grandson. "You know what, Ethan? I think you've already planted that tree. It's growing right here in our garden." "Where?" "Here," she pointed to her heart. "The best trees grow inside us." That night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Jennifer and Jasmine stayed on the porch talking. "Do you regret anything?" Jasmine asked. "I regret taking 40 years to find you. I regret being cruel. I regret wasting so much time." "And what don't you regret?" "I don't regret throwing mud at you that day." Jasmine stared at her in surprise. "How can you not regret that?" "Because it was through that terrible act that we found each other again. If I hadn't done it, maybe I'd never have known you were alive. Maybe I'd never have met my niece and nephew. Maybe our mother would have passed without making peace with us." "So you think bad things happen for a reason?" "I don't know if they happen for a reason, but I know we can give them one. We can turn our pain into love, our guilt into action, our mistakes into lessons." "That's an interesting way to see it." "It's the only way that lets me sleep peacefully at night." Jasmine held her sister's hand. "Thank you." "For what?" "For giving me the family I always dreamed of, for bringing joy to my grandchildren, for giving me my mother back, even if 40 years late. Thank you for forgiving me, for letting me be part of your life, for teaching me what really matters." They sat in silence, watching the stars. "Jennifer, do you think we'll grow old together, like real sisters?" "We'll grow old together. We'll watch our grandchildren grow up together. We'll take care of our mother together. We'll be buried side by side, beneath the apple tree." Jasmine laughed. "How morbid." "It's not morbid. It's romantic. It's closing the circle that began when we planted those seeds 45 years ago." "All right, but I want to be buried in my favorite blue dress. And I want to be buried in the dress I was wearing the day I met you, to remind everyone that love can bloom even from our worst moments. Deal." They clasped hands, like they did as children making a promise. 2 years later, Jasmine was teaching when she received an urgent call. Elizabeth had fallen ill at the nursing home and was being taken to the hospital. Jennifer found Jasmine in the waiting room, both terrified. The doctor came to speak with them hours later. "She had a heart attack. We stabilized her, but her heart is very weak. It's only a matter of time." "How long?" Jennifer asked. "Days, maybe weeks." "Can she have visitors?" "Yes, and I recommend calling the whole family. She may want to say goodbye." They entered the room where Elizabeth was connected to machines. She opened her eyes when she saw them. "My daughters, we're here, Mom," Jasmine said, holding her hand. "I want to go home. I want to spend my last days in our house." "Mom, you'll get better," Jennifer said. "Jennifer, my dear, don't lie to your mother. I know it's my time, and it's okay. I got 2 years with you both. I met my great-grandchildren. I asked for forgiveness and was forgiven. I can go in peace." "Don't talk like that," Jasmine cried. "Jasmine, my strong girl, you taught me that love is stronger than pain. Now let me go knowing our love is eternal." The doctor agreed to release Elizabeth to spend her final days at home with palliative care. They turned the living room into a bedroom so she could see the garden through the window. Ethan and Emma didn't fully understand what was happening, but knew their great-grandmother was very sick. They spent hours by her bed, telling her about school, showing drawings, singing songs she'd taught them. On her last night, Elizabeth asked to be alone with her daughters. "I have something for you," she said weakly. Jennifer brought a box Elizabeth had requested from the nursing home. Old photos, from when you were little, together. They opened the box and found dozens of pictures of the two playing together, hugging, smiling, photos Elizabeth had hidden for 40 years, but could never throw away. "Why did you keep these?" Jasmine asked. "Because even when I tried to forget, I never could. You were always my greatest joy and my deepest regret." "Mom," Jennifer wept, "I want you to know you deserve all the happiness in the world, that you're extraordinary women, that you still have so much love to give and receive." "We don't want you to go," Jasmine said. "I know, but sometimes we have to let go of the people we love so they can rest. And I need to rest." She closed her eyes and smiled. "I can see you both as little girls running through the garden. I can hear your laughter. I can smell the ripe apples. It's a beautiful memory to take with me." Elizabeth Harrison White passed in the early hours, sleeping peacefully between her two daughters. The funeral was simple as she'd requested, only family and close friends. Ethan and Emma scattered rose petals over the casket, just as Elizabeth had taught them in one of her stories. They buried her at Westport Cemetery beneath a flowering tree. The headstone read, "Elizabeth Harrison White, a mother who learned it's never too late to love." After the funeral, they returned home and sat under the apple tree. "How do we explain this to the children?" Jasmine asked. "We'll tell them Great-Grandma went to tend the other trees in Heaven's garden, and that every time we eat an apple, we'll remember her. Do you think she's at peace?" "I'm sure of it. She got what she wanted most, our forgiveness and our love." Forgiveness. She got our forgiveness. And we got hers too. Ethan and Emma left the house and came to sit with them. "Grandma, did Great-Grandma leave forever?" Emma asked. "Her body did, sweetheart. But the most important part of her, the love she felt for us that stays here forever," Jasmine said, pointing to her heart. "And in the photos," Ethan added, "and in the recipes she taught us, and the stories she told." "That's right," Jennifer said. "The people we love never really leave us completely." "Aunt Jennifer, are you going to leave too?" Emma asked fearfully. "No, sweetheart. I'm staying here with you forever. This is our home, our family. Promise?" "I promise." That night, Jennifer made a silent promise under the stars. She would honor Elizabeth's memory by being the best sister, aunt, and daughter she could be. She would make sure Ethan and Emma grew up knowing they were loved unconditionally. And she would work every day to make the world a fairer and more loving place. 5 years had passed since the sisters reunited. The educational fund Jennifer created had already helped hundreds of young people. Jasmine ran a community school serving underprivileged children in the area. Ethan, now 13, was one of the top students in his class. Emma, 11, had discovered a talent for painting and dreamed of becoming an artist. The Westport house had become a gathering place for friends and neighbors. There was always someone at the kitchen table, children playing in the garden, laughter echoing through the halls. One Sunday morning, as they sat in the garden, Jasmine made an announcement. "I have news for you all." "What news?" Jennifer asked. "I'm seeing someone." Ethan and Emma stopped playing and ran over. "Seeing someone?" Emma exclaimed. "Who?" "Mr. Stephen, from school." "The physical education teacher?" Ethan asked. "He's cool." "When do we get to meet him properly?" Jennifer wanted to know. "Actually, I invited him for lunch today. He should be here soon." "Jasmine!" Jennifer pretended to be indignant. "You didn't tell me we'd have a special guest." "That's why it's a surprise." Stephen arrived an hour later with flowers for Jasmine and chocolates for the kids. He was a 50-year-old man, a physical education teacher at the school where Jasmine worked, and a father of 2 teenage children from a previous marriage. "So you're the man who won my sister's heart," Jennifer said during lunch. "I'd rather say she won mine," Stephen replied with a smile. "How long have you two known each other?" Ethan asked. "About 6 months," Jasmine said, blushing slightly. "And do you like our grandma?" Emma asked bluntly. "Very much. She's an extraordinary woman." "And you know if you hurt her, you'll have to answer to me, right?" Jennifer said playfully, but with a hint of seriousness. "I know, and I promise to take good care of her heart." Will we get to meet your kids? Jasmine asked. If you'd like. Ryan is 15 and Olivia is 12. They're excited to meet their dad's girlfriend and her family. Ethan and Emma exchanged excited glances. The idea of having new step-siblings thrilled them. After lunch, Stephen helped clean up the kitchen while the kids played in the garden. Jennifer took the chance to talk to Jasmine alone. Are you happy? Very happy. Stephen is a good man, Jennifer. Kind, caring, hardworking, and he adores the kids. That's all that matters. What about you? Never thought about dating again? Jennifer smiled. I'm too busy being an aunt, a sister, and working on our projects to have time for dating. That's no way to live, Jennifer. You deserve someone special. Maybe, but for now I'm complete like this. If you say so. That afternoon, Stephen stayed for dinner and helped Ethan with his math homework. Jennifer watched how naturally he interacted with the children, how he respected Jasmine, and how easily he fit into the family dynamic. When he left, the kids were already calling him Uncle Stephen. Did you like him? Jasmine asked after he left. We loved him, Emma said. He's almost as cool as Aunt Jennifer. Almost? Jennifer laughed. Thanks for the almost. No one will ever be cooler than you, Auntie, Ethan assured her. Or more important, Jasmine added. Jennifer, I want you to know that no matter what happens with Stephen, you'll always be the most important person in our lives. That's not true. The most important people are these two right here. Jennifer pointed to Ethan and Emma. You're all the most important people, Ethan said philosophically. That's what family means. The following year, Jasmine and Stephen married in a simple ceremony in the yard of the Westport house under the apple tree. Ethan was the ring bearer, Emma was the flower girl, and Jennifer was Jasmine's matron of honor. Ryan and Olivia, Stephen's children, moved into the house on weekends and holidays. The home grew even livelier, with 5 kids and teenagers running through the halls. Our house has turned into a madhouse, Jennifer remarked one night after helping with 5 different kids' homework. A happy madhouse, Jasmine corrected. The best kind of madhouse. 2 years after Jasmine's wedding, Jennifer was coming home from work when she saw a man tinkering under the hood of a broken-down car in front of the house. He was a simple-looking man with a kind smile. Need any help? She asked. No, thank you. I've already figured out the problem. Just need to replace a part. Are you a mechanic? I am. I have an auto repair shop nearby. My name's David. Jennifer, I live in this house here. The house of the family everyone in the neighborhood speaks so highly of. The family that helps everyone. I suppose so, Jennifer smiled. Why did your car break down right here? Actually, it wasn't a coincidence. I was coming to visit you. Visit? Why? My daughter Madison wants to apply for a scholarship from your educational fund, but she's too shy to come alone. How old is she? 17. She wants to study medicine, but, well, our financial situation doesn't allow it. Where is she? Right around the corner, too embarrassed to come closer. Jennifer looked where he pointed and saw a thin, nervous teenager waiting. Call her over, let's talk. Are you sure? I am, and then join us for dinner. I want to hear Madison's story. David called his daughter, who approached timidly. She was a beautiful girl with intelligent eyes and a sweet way of speaking. Mrs. Jennifer, thank you for having us, Madison said. None of that Mrs., just call me Aunt Jennifer. Everyone in this house does. During dinner, Madison shared her story. The daughter of a mechanic and a housekeeper, she had always been at the top of her class. She dreamed of becoming a doctor since childhood, inspired by a pediatrician who had cared for her when she was little. And why medicine? Jasmine asked. Because I want to help poor kids like I was. I want them to have the same care as any rich child. Jennifer and Jasmine exchanged glances. The girl's passion was undeniable. Madison, I have a proposal for you, Jennifer said. Not only will we approve your scholarship, but you'll also come study here with the other kids. We have a good library and an excellent study environment. Really? The girl's eyes lit up. Really? And David, if you'd like, you can take care of the family's cars. We always need a trustworthy mechanic. I don't know how to thank you, David said, emotional. No need to thank us. You need to accept being part of our extended family. Madison has practically become a daughter to Jennifer. She studied at the house every afternoon, had dinner with the family on weekends, and became an older sister to Ethan and Emma. David, in turn, became the handyman for small repairs around the house and the caretaker of the family cars. He was a widowed, hard-working and honest man who gradually earned everyone's respect and friendship. "Jennifer," Jasmine said one evening, "have you noticed that David likes you?" "What do you mean, likes?" Likes. Romantically." "Don't be ridiculous. Jennifer, I have eyes. The way he looks at you, how he lights up when you arrive, how he always finds an excuse to come by. He's a good friend. He could be more than a friend if you let him." "Jasmine, he's a mechanic. I'm a businesswoman. We live in different worlds." "And what's the problem? Stephen is a physical education teacher. I'm a school principal. We also lived in different worlds, and it worked out." "It's not the same." "Why? Because he's poor." Jennifer fell silent, realizing she might have more prejudices than she thought. Maybe I'm afraid of getting emotionally involved." "Why?" "Because the last time I did, the person only cared about my money and status. Richard left me the moment that was threatened. David isn't Richard. David knows you without the mask, sees you taking care of the kids, working in the garden, with your clothes dirty from the soil. And he still likes you. How can you be so sure?" "Because yesterday he asked me if you were seeing anyone, and when I said no, he was as happy as a kid getting a Christmas present." Jennifer started paying more attention to David, and she had to admit, Jasmine was right. He really did seem to like her. The following week, David showed up with a bouquet of flowers from his own garden. "To thank you for everything you've done for Madison," he said. "You didn't have to," Jennifer replied, though she was clearly pleased. "Jennifer, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Would you like to have dinner with me? Just the two of us? I know a simple place, but the food is good." Jennifer felt her heart race. Yes, I'd like that." "Really?" "Really." Jasmine, listening from the kitchen, smiled to herself. Jennifer and David's first date was a disaster. She dressed too elegantly for the simple restaurant he had chosen. He got nervous and spilled wine on his clothes. Both felt out of place. "I don't think this is going to work," Jennifer said on the way back. "Why?" David asked. "We're too different." "So what? You and Jasmine are very different too, and you're best friends. It's not the same. We're sisters." "Jennifer, can I ask you for one thing?" "What?" "Give me a second chance. But this time, let me plan a date that's more our style." "Our style?" "Trust me." On the second date, David took her to his auto repair shop. He had set up a simple table in the yard with candles and flowers. The dinner was homemade, prepared by him. "You cook?" Jennifer asked, surprised. "Ever since my wife passed 10 years ago, Madison and I learned together." "And what did you learn to make?" "Tasty, cheap food," he laughed. "Nothing fancy." The setting was simple but cozy. David talked about his life, how he had raised Madison alone, his dreams and fears. Jennifer spoke about her journey of self-discovery, how she had realized happiness wasn't in money. "Can I confess something?" David said. "Of course." "When I found out who you were, I was intimidated. I thought, a rich woman would never look at a mechanic like me. And now? Now I see you're not a rich woman. You're a woman who has money, but that's not who you are. What's the difference? The difference is you use money to help people, not to feel superior to them. The difference is you get your hands dirty in the garden, play with the children, wash dishes after dinner. Anyone does that." "No, Jennifer, anyone should do that. But not every wealthy person does." That night, Jennifer realized she was falling in love. Not for the financial security Richard could offer, he had none, nor for status, he had none, but for his kindness, honesty, and simplicity. "Jasmine," she said when she got home, "I think I like Richard." "That's great. It's about time." "But I'm scared." "Of what?" "That people will say he only wants my money." "And do you care what people will say?" "Shouldn't I?" "Jennifer, you turned your life upside down to be with your family. You divorced your husband, lost friends, faced public scandal, And now you're worried about what people will say about your boyfriend. You're right. I always am. It's the privilege of being the older sister. You're not older than me. I'm wiser, so it's the same thing. Jennifer and Richard's relationship grew slowly. He taught her how to change a tire. She taught him how to use a computer. He cooked for her. She took him to restaurants he'd never been to. He taught her simplicity. She encouraged him to dream bigger. Madison was overjoyed when she learned Aunt Jennifer was dating her father. Now you'll be a real family, she said. We already were a real family, Jennifer replied, but now it's official. 2 years later, Richard proposed to Jennifer, not with an expensive ring, but with a simple band he'd made himself at the auto repair shop. I don't have much to offer, he said. Just my love, my honesty, and the promise that I'll make you happy every day of our life. That's all I need, Jennifer answered. They married under the same apple tree where Jasmine had wed. Madison was the maid of honor. Ethan and Emma were the ring bearers, and the entire extended family was there. At the reception, Richard gave a speech. 5 years ago, I was just a widowed mechanic trying to raise a daughter alone. Today, I have a wonderful wife, a big, loving family, and the certainty that love can change any life. Thank you, Jennifer, for showing me I deserved more than I ever imagined. Jennifer replied, Richard taught me that true wealth isn't in a bank account, but in the people we love and who love us back. Thank you for accepting me as I am and helping me be a better person. 10 years had passed since the day Jennifer threw mud at Jasmine. The Westport house was now home to a family of 8, Jennifer and Richard, Jasmine and Stephen, Ethan, now 18 and studying engineering, Emma, 16 and already showing artistic talent, Madison, a medical school graduate working at a public hospital, Ryan and Olivia, Stephen's grown children who visited often. The educational fund had expanded, now serving youth across the metropolitan area. The school Jasmine ran was considered a model for community education. Richard had grown his auto repair shop and now employed other mechanics from the neighborhood. One Sunday morning, as they all gathered in the garden, Jennifer made an announcement. I have a surprise for you. What surprise? Jasmine asked. I'm pregnant. The silence was broken by Emma's joyful scream. You're having a baby? At 45? Yes, Richard and I are having a baby. Ethan, now a young man, hugged his aunt. I'm going to be an uncle. Finally, I'm going to be an uncle. And I'm going to be a grandma again, Jasmine exclaimed. Jennifer's pregnancy was closely monitored by the whole family. Madison, now a doctor, handled all the checkups. Jasmine knitted tiny clothes. Emma painted pictures for the baby's room. Ethan set up the crib. I never imagined I'd have a child so late in life, Jennifer said to Jasmine one evening. Sometimes the best things come when we least expect them. Just like you coming back into my life. Just like David coming into yours. Just like this second chance we all got. The baby was born on a spring morning. It was a girl and they named her Hope. Why Hope? Ethan asked. Because she represents everything our family has become, David explained. The hope that it's possible to start over, to forgive, to love, and to be happy. Hope grew up surrounded by love. She had 5 uncles, Ethan, Emma, Madison, Ryan, and Olivia, 2 grandmothers, Jasmine in person and a great-grandmother in memory, and a family that proved every day that love has no limits. When Hope turned 5, they threw a party in the garden. The whole family was there, along with school friends, neighbors, and beneficiaries of the educational fund. During the party, Jasmine pulled Jennifer aside. Do you remember what you told me 15 years ago about being buried together under the apple tree? I do. Why? Because now I don't think we'll need that. What do you mean? Because our family has put down such deep roots that it will keep growing even after we're gone. Hope will grow up knowing this story. The grandchildren she has will know it, and so our story of love and reconciliation will live on forever. Do you really think so? I'm certain. Look around, Jennifer. Look at everything we've built since that terrible day you threw mud at me. Jennifer looked around. She saw Ethan playing with Hope, Emma teaching the children to draw, Madison tending to a boy who'd gotten hurt, David chatting with Stephen about soccer, Jasmine handing out sweets to everyone. I can't believe all this started with an act of cruelty. It didn't start with cruelty. It started with love. How so? The cruelty was just the means, but what drove everything was the love that always existed between us, even when we didn't know it was there. Love gave me the strength to forgive you. Love gave you the courage to change. Love brought us back to each other. That night, after everyone had left, the family gathered under the apple tree. It was tradition after every big celebration. "Let me tell you the story of two sisters who lost and found each other," Jennifer said to Hope. "I already know that story," the little girl replied. "Grandma Jasmine already told me." "Then you tell it to me." "Once upon a time, there were two sisters who played under a tree. One day, they were separated by mean people who didn't understand that love has no color. They were apart for a long time, until one day they met on the street. The richer sister threw mud at the poorer one, not knowing who she was. And then they found out they were sisters and apologized to each other, and they went back to the treehouse and lived happily ever after, with a big family full of love. And what's the lesson of the story? That love always wins, and that families can be made of people who choose each other, not just people born together. Jasmine hugged her niece. "Well done, teacher. You've learned the lesson." "Aunt Jennifer, can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart." "Do you regret throwing mud at Grandma Jasmine?" Jennifer looked at Jasmine, then at the whole family gathered around her. "No, Hope, I don't regret it, because that was the day our real family began." "Even though it was a bad thing?" "Sometimes bad things are just the start of good things. What matters is learning from mistakes and turning them into love." "And did you turn it into love?" "We did," Jasmine said, "and you're the proof of that." "How?" "Because you were born from the love that came from our reconciliation. You're literally made of love." Hope smiled and nestled into Jennifer's lap. "I'm going to tell this story to my children too." "And they'll tell it to their children," said David. "And our story will never end," Ethan concluded. They stayed there until late, sharing stories, making plans, and laughing over old memories. The apple tree, now a century old, sheltered them with its branches, just as it had for two little girls decades before. Years passed. Ethan graduated as an engineer and opened a construction company specializing in affordable housing. Emma became a renowned artist, using her work to raise awareness about social issues. Madison specialized in pediatrics and provided free care to underprivileged children. Hope grew up in an environment filled with love and social justice. Jasmine and Jennifer grew old together, as they had promised. They cared for each other through illnesses, celebrated their children's and grandchildren's achievements together, and became living proof that love can overcome any obstacle. One autumn afternoon, at 70 years old, they sat beneath the apple tree when Jasmine said, "Do you know what makes me proudest about this whole story?" "What?" "That we proved people can change, that prejudice can be defeated by love, that it's never too late to do the right thing, and that families can heal even after decades of brokenness." "Jennifer, if you could go back in time, would you change anything?" "I'd change the time we spent apart. I'd change the pain you went through. I'd change the blindness that kept me from seeing my own prejudices. But you wouldn't change the day you threw mud at me." "No, because that was the day that brought us back to each other. And I wouldn't change anything either, because all the pain was worth it to get here." "Jasmine?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For forgiving me, for letting me be your sister again, for teaching me what really matters in life." "Thank you. For having the courage to change, for giving up everything to stay with us, for giving me a family." They embraced, two sisters who had found their way back to each other through pain, forgiveness, and unconditional love. Hope, now 15, ran up to them. "Grandma Jasmine, Aunt Jennifer." "Guess what?" "What?" they asked. "I passed the college entrance exam. I'm going to study law." "Law? Why?" Jennifer asked. "Because I want to be a defense attorney for poor people. I want to fight injustice like you did." Jasmine and Jennifer exchanged proud glances. "Our story continues," Jasmine whispered. "Forever," Jennifer confirmed. That evening, during the celebration dinner, David raised a toast. To the family we chose, to the family that was lost and found, to the family that proves every day that love is stronger than any difference. To the Harrison Williams Parker family, Jasmine added, uniting all their last names. To our family, Hope said, lifting her glass. Everyone toasted, and the sound of clinking glasses echoed through the garden like music. The apple tree swayed gently in the wind, as if applauding. 20 years after their reunion, Jennifer and Jasmine's story had become a legend in the neighborhood. The house in Westport was known as the House of Love, where anyone in need could find help, comfort, and a family. The educational fund had grown into a foundation serving thousands of young people across the country. Jasmine's school had become a model for other communities. David's auto repair shop employed dozens of mechanics and offered free vocational training. Ethan, now married with 3 children, ran the foundation. Emma had opened an art school for underprivileged children. Madison was head of pediatrics at the city's most important public hospital. Hope was in her final year of law school and was already interning, defending cases of social injustice. One April morning, Jasmine woke up feeling weak. Jennifer found her in the kitchen sitting at the table, holding a cup of coffee she hadn't touched. "Sister, are you okay?" "I'm tired, Jennifer, very tired." "Should I call Madison?" "No need. I know what it is." "Jasmine, it's my time. I can feel it. Don't talk like that." "Jennifer, I'm not afraid. I've lived more than I could have dreamed. I had a wonderful sister, raised extraordinary grandchildren, watched our family grow and thrive." "Jasmine, no. Can I ask you for something? Anything?" "When I'm gone, bury me under the apple tree. I want to stay close to home, close to all of you." "Jasmine, and tell our story to the next generations. Don't let them forget that love can heal any wound." Madison confirmed it. Jasmine had an illness that couldn't be cured. A few months, maybe. The family gathered around her, all the children, grandchildren, in-laws, and friends who had become family. The house filled with love and farewells. "I don't want tears," Jasmine said. "I want laughter, I want stories, I want music." And that's how Jasmine spent her last months, surrounded by joy, telling stories to her great-grandchildren, teaching recipes to her daughters-in-law, giving advice to those who needed it. "Jennifer," she said one of her last nights, "you've taken care of me my whole life. Now it's my turn to take care of you." "What do you mean?" "I'll watch over you from wherever I am. I'll make sure our family stays united and happy. Jasmine, and when it's your time to join me, I'll be waiting. With Grandma Elizabeth, and with all the people we've loved." Jasmine Williams. Harrison passed away on a fall morning, sleeping peacefully in the garden under the apple tree, surrounded by her entire family. At the funeral, hundreds of people came, former students of Jasmine, beneficiaries of the educational fund, neighbors, friends, all with stories of how she had touched their lives. Jennifer gave the final speech. "Jasmine taught me that sisterhood isn't just about sharing the same blood. It's about choosing to love, forgive, and grow together. She taught me that family is who stands by you in hard times. She taught me it's never too late to start over. Today we bury Jasmine's body, but her spirit will live on in every life she touched, every child she educated, every person she helped grow. Our family was born from an act of cruelty that turned into love. It grew through forgiveness, flourished through unity, and now it will continue through the memory and example Jasmine left for all of us. Rest in peace, my sister. Your mission here was fulfilled with honor." They buried Jasmine under the apple tree as she had asked. The tombstone read simply, "Jasmine Williams Harrison, sister, mother, grandmother, teacher, and living proof that love can heal any wound." Jennifer continued living in the Westport house with David and Hope. Ethan, Emma, and Madison visited often. Life went on, but with a void that could never be filled. A year after Jasmine's passing, Hope graduated from law school. At the ceremony, she gave a speech. "I dedicate my degree to my grandmother, Jasmine, who taught me that justice isn't just found in courtrooms, but in every act of love and understanding we practice. And to my mother, Jennifer, who showed me it's never too late to change, to ask for forgiveness and to build bridges where there were once only walls. I promised to use my knowledge to defend those without a voice, to fight injustice, and to continue the work of love my family began. That night, Jennifer stood alone under the apple tree when she felt a familiar presence. It wasn't anything supernatural, just the sense that Jasmine was there somehow. "Sister," she whispered, "Hope graduated today. You'd be so proud. She's just like you, strong, fair, loving. Ethan opened a new branch of the construction company. Emma is going to exhibit her artwork in Chicago. Madison was invited to run a children's hospital. Everyone is doing well, everyone is following the path you helped set. David takes care of me with all the love in the world. The family is united. The house is full of joy. Your mission continues, Jasmine, through every life you touched, every lesson you taught, every example you set." The wind gently swayed the branches of the apple tree, as if in response. Jennifer smiled, feeling at peace. At 80 years old, Jennifer was a grandmother to 7 grandchildren and a great-grandmother to 3 great-grandchildren. The house in Westport remained a center of love and warmth. The educational foundation had spread across the country. The story of the 2 sisters had inspired books, documentaries, and countless other family reconciliations. One December afternoon, Jennifer was playing with her great-grandchildren in the garden when Ethan approached. "Auntie, I have a proposal for you." "What is it?" "We want to turn our story into a book, so other families can be inspired and reconcile." "A book?" "Hope will write it. Emma will illustrate it. I'll handle the publishing. What do you think?" Jennifer looked at the apple tree, where a photo of Jasmine hung from a branch. "I think Jasmine would like that. She always said our story could help others." "So can I take that as a yes?" "You can, but on one condition: all the book's profits go to the foundation." "We figured you'd say that." 6 months later, the book, The Forgiveness Tree, was released. It told the true story of Jennifer and Jasmine, from their childhood separation to their reconciliation and the building of a family based on unconditional love. The book became a national success. Families torn apart by old feuds began to reconcile. The term apple tree family came to describe families who chose and united through love. "Jasmine," Jennifer said during one of her nightly conversations with her sister, "our story is helping people across the country. You really did make our story eternal." At 85, Jennifer woke one morning knowing it was her last day. She wasn't sick, she just knew. It was a feeling of completeness, of a mission fulfilled. She spent the day saying goodbye to each loved one. She hugged David for a long time, thanking him for all the years of love. She spoke with each child, grandchild, and great-grandchild, leaving words of love and encouragement. "Hope," she said to her youngest daughter, "you'll take care of the family now." "Mom, you'll be okay." "No, my dear. It's my time to go meet Jasmine. But I'm not sad. I'm grateful for everything I've lived, for everything we built together." "What do I do without you?" "You continue our work. Keep spreading love. Keep proving that families can be healed through forgiveness." That night, Jennifer lay beneath the apple tree, looking at the stars. David was by her side, holding her hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." "Thank you," he replied, "for teaching me to love without fear." Jennifer closed her eyes and smiled. She could feel Jasmine coming to take her, young and happy as they were as children. "Sister," she heard the familiar voice, "I've been waiting for you." "Sorry it took so long," Jennifer answered. "It's okay. Time is just an illusion. Love is eternal. And our family. Our family will keep growing, loving, forgiving, and healing wounds. Our story will be told for generations. I'm ready to go with you." "Then let's go. We have an eternity of catching up to do." Jennifer passed peacefully in the early hours, a serene smile on her face. They found her the next morning, lying beneath the apple tree, as if she had simply fallen asleep. Jennifer's funeral was even larger than Jasmine's. Thousands of people attended, coming from all over the country, beneficiaries of the foundation, readers of the book, families who had reconciled after being inspired by the sisters' story. Hope gave the final speech. My mother Jennifer proved it's never too late to change. That forgiveness can heal any wound. That love can turn even the darkest moments into blessings. She and my grandmother Jasmine left us the greatest legacy possible, proof that families can be healed, that prejudice can be overcome by love, that each of us has the power to change the world through small acts of kindness. Today we bury Jennifer's body beside Jasmine's, beneath the tree they planted as children, but their spirit will live on in every family that reconciles, in every person who chooses love over hate, in every act of forgiveness that happens in this world. Our family began in pain, but transformed into love. It began with separation, but became unity. It began with prejudice, but grew into acceptance. May our story inspire other families to find their way back to each other. May it prove it's never too late to ask for forgiveness, to offer forgiveness, and to rebuild bridges of love where walls of resentment once stood. Rest in peace, mother and grandmother. Your work is complete, but your legacy is eternal. Jennifer was buried beside Jasmine beneath the ancient apple tree. The two headstones side by side read, Jennifer Harrison Williams Parker, proof that it's never too late to change. Jasmine Williams Harrison, proof that love can heal any wound. Years passed. The house in Westport became a museum and family reconciliation center. The apple tree was declared a historical landmark of the city. The educational foundation continued to grow, serving young people across the country. Ethan, now a man in his 60s, brought his grandchildren to see the tree where it all began. Grandpa, tell us the mud story, one of the boys asked. Once upon a time, Ethan began, there were two sisters who lost each other and found their way back through forgiveness. The story continued to be told, from generation to generation, from family to family, inspiring reconciliations, healing wounds, proving that love can always prevail. And beneath the apple tree, where two little girls once played together, where two women reunited through pain, where two sisters built a legacy of love that would last forever, the shade still shelters families who choose each other, forgive each other, and love each other unconditionally. The end. Now we'd love to hear what you thought of this story of resilience and forgiveness. Do you believe Jennifer and Jasmine made the right choices? Have you experienced something similar in your own family? Share your honest thoughts in the comments and tell us about your own family reconciliation stories. Don't forget to like if this story touched your heart and subscribe so you won't miss other moving stories like this one.